What if everything you've been doing to stay strong after 60, the protein shakes, the chicken breast, the gym sessions, what if all of it was built on a completely wrong assumption? What if the real reason your muscles are disappearing has nothing to do with protein at all? Here's what nobody tells you. After 60, your body develops a biological resistance to protein. Your muscle cells literally stop responding to it. You could eat double the protein recommended, and your muscles would still shrink. Because the real problem isn't what you're eating. It's whether your body can actually use it. And that depends on 4 hidden biological factors: your mitochondria, your hormones, your inflammation levels, and your internal clock, none of which are fixed by eating more protein. I'm going to show you exactly what the science says is actually happening inside your muscle cells after 60, why conventional advice is making it worse, and what you actually need to do instead. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll never think about muscle, aging, or your body the same way again. What if I told you that the single most confidently repeated piece of advice in the health and fitness world, eat more protein to build muscle, is not just wrong for people over 60, but is actually a distraction from the real problem? Not a small distraction. A fundamental, life-altering, decade-wasting distraction that is causing millions of people to lose their strength, their independence, and eventually their lives, while believing they're doing everything right. Let's start with the most uncomfortable question. Why do people over 60 lose muscle? The medical term is sarcopenia, and for decades, the mainstream answer has been simple. You lose muscle because you don't eat enough protein, and you don't exercise enough. So the prescription is equally simple: eat more protein, lift more weights. And yet, and this is the part that should keep you up at night, people are following this advice religiously. They're eating chicken and eggs and protein shakes, they're going to the gym, and they're still losing muscle at a rate of 1% to 2% per year after 60, still getting weaker, still losing independence, still ending up in nursing homes because they can't stand up from a chair without help. Something is wrong with the explanation, and when the explanation is wrong, the solution will always fail, always. Here's what's actually happening inside your body after 60, explained with the kind of brutal clarity that most people never hear. Your muscle cells are not passive containers waiting to be filled with protein. They are extraordinarily complex biological machines, and after 60, those machines begin failing in ways that have nothing to do with your protein intake. The first failure is anabolic resistance. Your muscle cells develop a kind of deafness to the signals that protein normally sends. Amino acids arrive. They knock on the door. Nobody answers. The machinery to use those amino acids, the ribosomes, the signaling pathways, the gene expression networks, all of them become progressively less responsive. You're not deficient in protein. You're deficient in the ability to respond to protein. That is a completely different problem, requiring a completely different solution. The second failure is mitochondrial, and this is where things get truly shocking. Every muscle fiber in your body is packed with mitochondria, hundreds, sometimes thousands of them. These are the engines. They produce ATP, the actual currency of muscular energy. Without adequate ATP, your muscle cells cannot contract properly, cannot repair damage, cannot synthesize new protein, cannot grow. After 60, your mitochondrial population doesn't just decline in number. The surviving mitochondria become dysfunctional. They produce less energy. They produce more damaging free radicals. They become a net liability rather than an asset. And no amount of dietary protein can fix a mitochondrial energy crisis. It's like trying to build a house by delivering lumber to a construction site where all the workers have gone home and the power tools have been confiscated. The materials sit there, unused, until they rot. Now let's talk about something that almost nobody in mainstream fitness discusses: myostatin. Myostatin is a protein, ironically, that your body produces specifically to limit muscle growth. Think about that. Your own biology has a system designed to prevent you from becoming too muscular. Evolution built this brake because maintaining large amounts of muscle tissue is metabolically expensive. In younger bodies, this brake is manageable. But after 60, two things happen simultaneously. Myostatin levels increase and your sensitivity to myostatin increases. Your biological brake gets stronger while your foot gets heavier on the accelerator. And the trigger that most reliably activates myostatin? Prolonged physical inactivity. Sitting. The sedentary lifestyle that has become the default for most people over 60 is directly triggering a genetic program that destroys muscle. Not slowly, not gradually, continuously, and aggressively. Every hour of uninterrupted sitting is a vote cast by your biology for muscle destruction. Then there is the hormone catastrophe. IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, is the biological master key for muscle building. It binds to receptors on muscle cells and opens the door for amino acids to enter and trigger growth. Without IGF-1, protein cannot do its job, full stop. No negotiation, no workaround. And IGF-1 production after 60 collapses by more than half in most people. Half. This means the protein you're carefully consuming is circulating in your blood like a key that has nowhere to go, because the locks on the muscle cell doors have been removed. The fitness industry sells you more keys. The real question is, how do you rebuild the locks? And the answer has nothing to do with protein supplements. It has everything to do with specific patterns of mechanical loading, the quality of your deep sleep, and micronutrients like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D. Nutrients that are catastrophically deficient in the vast majority of people over 60 in the modern world. And then, perhaps most devastating of all, there is the fire burning inside you that you cannot feel. Chronic inflammation. Inflammation. After 60, your immune system enters a state of permanent low-level activation. It's as if your body is perpetually fighting an infection that doesn't exist. And the chemicals this immune response produces, the cytokines, the inflammatory messengers, they are directly toxic to muscle tissue. They activate biological pathways that break down muscle protein for fuel. They interfere with muscle repair. They block the anabolic signals from hormones and nutrients. You can be eating perfectly, exercising consistently, and these inflammatory molecules are silently undoing every bit of your effort, like trying to paint a wall while someone else is removing the bricks. The sources of this inflammation are everywhere in modern life. Poor sleep quality, gut microbiome disruption, processed foods, chronic psychological stress, environmental toxins, even social isolation. And they compound each other in ways that make the total effect far worse than any single factor alone. The solution to inflammaging is not eating more protein. The solution requires a systematic, evidence-based attack on the root causes of chronic inflammation, an approach that rebuilds the biological environment in which muscle growth is even possible. Finally, there is time. Not the amount of time you spend exercising. The time, the specific hours, aligned with your biological clock when your physiology is actually capable of building muscle. Your circadian rhythm controls not just your sleep-wake cycle, but your hormonal rhythms, your cellular repair cycles, your digestive enzyme production, and critically, your muscle protein synthesis capacity. Disrupting your circadian rhythm, which happens almost universally after 60 due to changes in light sensitivity, sleep architecture, and daily routine, means that you may be eating and exercising at times when your biology is simply not listening. The research on time-restricted feeding aligned with circadian rhythms is among the most exciting in all of aging science. The results are not marginal improvements. They are dramatic, counterintuitive, paradigm-breaking results showing that when you eat and move matters more than how much protein you consume. So what does actually build muscle after 60? Not more protein, but better cellular machinery to use the protein you already eat. Not longer workouts, but movement patterns that counteract myostatin, stimulate IGF-1, and activate mitochondrial biogenesis. Not supplements, but systemic inflammation reduction that stops the biological fire destroying your muscle tissue. Not blind adherence to conventional wisdom, but a precise, curious, honest examination of what the science actually says, even when, especially when, it contradicts everything you've been told. The human body after 60 is not a broken machine. It is a different machine. It operates by different rules. It responds to different inputs. And the people who understand this, who are willing to question the comfortable, simple story they've been sold, these are the people who remain strong, independent, and vital into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. Not because they found a better protein powder, because they asked better questions. The most dangerous ideas are not the obviously wrong ones. The most dangerous ideas are the ones that are almost right, right enough to sound credible, right enough to be repeated endlessly by people in authority, but wrong in exactly the way that prevents you from solving the actual problem. Eat more protein to build muscle after 60 inches is one of those ideas. It contains a grain of truth wrapped in a fundamental misunderstanding of aging biology. The truth is this: after 60, your body's ability to build and maintain muscle is governed by a complex, interconnected system: mitochondrial health, hormonal signaling, inflammation levels, circadian alignment, and neuromuscular activation patterns. Protein is one input into that system. But a system with failing components cannot be rescued by optimizing a single input. You cannot fix a broken engine by using premium fuel. The path to muscle preservation, strength, and physical independence after